guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to do a book recommendation video. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a long time since I've done this type of video, so I think it's time for another one. This one is called Books for Non-Native English Speakers. I named this Books for Non-Native English Speakers because this video is for a specific audience. Now, if you don't know, I was born in Vietnam. I moved to America in 2006, so I had to learn English 12 years ago. And yes, even though I had people who helped me throughout the way, or throughout the years I guess, I did have a hard time reading books that are in English because I was very scared of the language. A few years ago, I did not like reading just because I was very scared of English. I was afraid that I wouldn't understand what's going on, or that the language is very hard for me to understand, things like that. But you know, I have conquered my fear, and over the years I have read a lot of books, so I'm very confident enough to recommend some books that are for people whose English is not their first language, because my first language is Vietnamese, but as of now, English is my primary language. I am an English major. I have written a lot of essays in English. I have read a lot of books in English. I'm confident enough to recommend you some good shit, okay? So if you're scared of English, but you want to read books to help you understand English, I guess, or like just books that are really good but easy to read and easy to understand, I think these books will definitely help you. So let's get started right now. The first book that I have to recommend is actually a graphic novel, and it is The Babysitter's Club. So this is the first book, and it's called Chrissy's Great Idea. I read this book back in the days, back when it had like a different cover, different edition and everything. So this is like the brand new edition with brand new colors, I guess, because the old edition was in black and white. It's just like the actual graphic novel, but as you can see here, it's colored. So this is really brand new. Well, not really, it came out a few years ago, so I got this one because I had to have it in my collection. So this book is about these four girls coming together to form the Babysitter's Club. So they just want to make some money, and they decide to do this club so they can make money and also babysit the children in their neighborhood. And it's crazy because they're only 12 years old and they're so successful and smart. But I like this book, or like this graphic novel, and then the rest of the series, because each girl is different, and I like the fact that they complement each other. And also with this series, I believe there are 6 books in this series so far, and each book covers each girl, I guess. So like the first book covers Christy right here, and then the second book is about Stacy, the third one is about Marianne, the fourth book is about Claudia, the fifth book is about Dawn, the sixth book is about Christy again. So there are 6 books in this series, and I cannot wait to read the 6th book because this book is like my childhood. I read this when I was so young, and it's crazy to see this in like a brand new format, brand new edition, as I am now an adult. It's very easy to understand. Like seriously, this is a graphic novel, and it's just really great because you get to see the colors, you get to see the characters, you get to understand the plot. Like honestly, it's so easy to understand. So I highly recommend this book because I read this when I was so young, when I first learned English, and I was able to understand what's going on, and I think that's really great. Now these 2 books are for people who are like me, and I will explain more, don't you dare worry. So the first book is Inside Out and Back Again by Thanhha, and then the second book is The Refugees by Viet. Nguyen. So these 2 books are written by Vietnamese authors, and basically the theme is very similar. The Vietnam War happened, and then they immigrate to America to start a new life. This book is actually a novel with verse. Basically, it's very autobiographical because the author draws from her experience of immigration, being a refugee and everything, to write this book. So it's really easy to understand because it's a novel with verse. It's very short, it's really quick to read. I believe there are like at least 200 pages or so, but each verse is really short, and like I said, you will understand as you read this book. But also, if you're Vietnamese American or Vietnamese like me, born in Vietnam but then live here in the United States, and you want to read a book that has like English words but also Vietnamese words, this book is the one for you because the main character is Vietnamese. She was from Vietnam, her family's from Vietnam. They had to immigrate to America because of the Vietnam War. And also, it's really interesting to see her thoughts, you know, because she was so young. Like the main character, she was so young, and she had to to learn English, he had to go to school, things like this. And my experience here in the US is very similar to the main character in this book, so I really appreciate that. But I did not immigrate, or I did not move to America because of the war. I moved here because my mom married my stepdad, and that's why I moved here basically. But even though our situation are completely different, I still appreciate this book because it represented me. The same thing here for The Refugees by Viet. Now this book, there are 8 short stories in this book, and I'm not gonna lie, you don't have to read all 8 short stories because I don't love all of them. I only love like 3 or 4 of the short stories in this book. But just last week I read a short story called War Years, and it's the 3rd one in this book. I read it and then I analyzed it for class, and then I gave a presentation about that short story. So just rereading that short story and then like analyzing it and then having to do like a paper, like a short response on it, I actually really appreciate that short story very much because I believe it's like autobiographical to the author Viet. So it's the 3rd short story in this book. And like I said, if you're Vietnamese or Vietnamese American and you want to read stories about people who immigrate to America because of the Vietnam War, because that war has affected many people in Vietnam, so if you want to read those kind of stories, definitely pick this book up. Like I said, don't read all of them if you don't want to. Just read like the first short story, the 3rd one I believe, and then the last one. So let me tell you the names actually, because I'm pretty sure that's gonna be more helpful. The first short story is Black-Eyed Woman, the 3rd one is called War Years, and then the very last one is Fatherland. So highly recommend those 3 short stories. I don't really remember the others because like I don't care that much about them, but this book is marvelous in my opinion. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with this book, but I love the cover. I love that it's written by a Vietnamese author singular, and I love that I feel represented in this book too. So these 2 books are recommended towards people who are like me, Vietnamese American. You get the point. Now these next 2 books are like the first book of a series, and even though they're like children's book or like middle grade, I guess, you can still read these books and enjoy the plot and enjoy the characters, and I think they're wonderful. Of course, this one is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So this is the 20-year, or what you call the 20th anniversary edition. And then this one is The Lightning Thief. So this is the first book of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So these 2 books, like I said, first book of a series. This series is like 7 books long, so you know, it's a lot. And this series, 5 books. Now this book, if you don't know, is about Harry Potter. So in the first book, we're introduced to the character Harry Potter and how he has a lightning scar on his forehead. It's so weird giving a synopsis about this book, oh my god, because I have never done this before. So it's about Harry Potter and he has a lightning scar in his forehead, and we learn that he's like a very special wizard because Voldemort was trying to kill him, but then he was unsuccessful, and then Harry is left with this mark on his forehead. So yeah, he's a special one. And this is the first book we're introduced to Hogwarts, new characters, basically the plot and the basic of stuff like that. So I have like a love-hate relationship with this. I love Harry Potter as a series, but years have passed and J.K. Rowling is just how do I say this, problematic. I feel very conflicted when I recommend her books, but honestly, just read the Harry Potter series. I'm not gonna lie, there's like a huge lack of diversity in the books because J.K. Rowling suck at writing diversity and shit like that. But the plot, the world building, the characters, the storytelling, everything, the foreshadowing, like literally things like that, she is very good at it. I guess I give her some credit. But if you want to read the Harry Potter books and if you're scared that it's very hard to understand, like don't be. The first book is very simple, but I'm not gonna lie, when you get to like the 4th, 5th book, it does get more complicated, but take your time, you know. And if you have questions about the series, you can just ask me, because like let's face it, I love Harry Potter. The first book is the one that I highly recommend. So if the first book isn't for you, you can just stop with the series. But if you love the first book, then definitely continue with the 2nd book, 3rd book, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. The other book, like I said, is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. So this book is about a boy named Percy Jackson, and he is 12 years old. He discovered that he has some, you know, special power, and his dad is Poseidon. So he's, I believe, like a half god demigod, is that what it's called? It's been a long time since I've read this book, so I don't remember the details, but I love this book. It's the first book of like a series, I believe. What's it called? Like a 5-book series? Quintet? Is it a quintet? Let's just call it series for now because that's easier. So this book is wonderful because it introduces, you know, the characters, the plot, and it's really funny. Oh my god, it's so funny. I forgot how funny it is, so I cannot wait to reread this book because I really want to. I miss Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So don't think that even though these books are, you know, for middle grade or like for younger audience, you know, that you shouldn't read this book because you think you're better than that. No, like seriously, don't think that. These books are so good, they're entertaining, and even though I'm an adult right now, I am not embarrassed to read these books in public because they're popular for a reason, they're really good for a reason, people love them for a reason, and I highly recommend these books if you're in the mood to like start a series, but you know, like you're scared of English. Don't be. These books are really easy to understand. Now, these last 3 books are all like standalone novels and they're young adult, so the first one is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This book follows a girl named Natasha and a boy named Daniel. Almost forgot their names for a second. Natasha is Jamaican, and basically this book takes place in one day. This is Natasha's last day in the United States because she's being deported back to Jamaica, she and her family actually. And then also is in New York, she meets Daniel, they talk, they hang out and stuff like that. And even though it's like insta love, you know, because this takes place in one day and of course the characters fall in love, it's just so good because they talk about important topics like immigration and the state of the United States, and then love and racism. Oh my god, racism is a big deal in this book. There's just so many topics. I don't know why I cannot remember the topics they talk about in this book. That's just weird. I love this book. The writing is very easy. I will say that there are a lot of POVs, so that's point of views. It's not just from like Natasha's point of view and then Daniel's point of view, it's also the characters around them. It can be overwhelming, but trust me, it is very easy to understand. You can finish this book really quickly because this story takes place in one day, so you just want to finish this book, you know. It's a quick read. Like I said, like don't panic about the plot, I guess, because it's very intricate because there's like little things here and there, and like I said, there's different perspective from other characters too, but trust me, it's not hard. It's very simple, it's very easy, and like I said, if it's not the book for you, then just put it down. If you're interested, then highly recommend this book. The next book is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Now, everyone knows this book because the movie is coming out very soon and I'm so excited for the movie. Oh my god. So don't watch the movie before you read the book, I guess. Highly recommend the book because it's wonderful. Oh my god. This book is about a girl named Star Carter, and in the beginning of the book she witnesses one of her childhood best friend gets shot by a police officer. And of course this book is about the Black Lives Matter movement because it's a real issue here in the United States. And of course it's about Star and her voice and what she has to do and what she must do in order to get justice for one of her childhood best friends. This book is hella thick in my opinion, but it's very easy to understand, but also it's so important to read this book because this is a big deal in the Black community. The writing is very simple, it's very easy to understand. Like I said, it talks about important issues. I love the characters, I love everything about this book. I cannot wait to watch the movie. It's gonna be amazing. I've heard nothing but great things. I highly recommend this book. Everyone should read this book. It's been a long time since I've mentioned this book on my channel, so highly recommend this book. Like seriously, please read it. The last book in this video is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Of course, this is like the 1,000th time I have recommended this book since I read it earlier this year because I love this book so much. This book follows a girl named Xiomara Batista and she lives in Harlem. So her issue is with her mom because her mom is super religious. Her mom is very Catholic, but Xiomara is like, I don't believe in these things anymore, and she and her mom, they always clash because her mom has high expectation of her daughter and Xiomara is like, leave me alone, basically. Now this book is actually a novel with verse, so very similar to Inside Out and Back Again, but the writing is so wonderful, it's so poetic. I highly recommend listening to the audiobook because the author herself narrates the audiobook and I think she is a fantastic performer. Oh my god, I cannot wait to read this book or like reread this book with the audiobook because I love the author so much. But also in this book there are some Spanish words because Xiomara, she speaks Spanish, her family speaks Spanish, so it's written in English and Spanish. And I think if you speak Spanish then you would love this book, obviously, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the main character because I think she's so wonderful. I love the cover. I think this book is amazing. Like, I have not shut up about this book. I think everyone should read it. I'm always excited when like someone is like, I'm reading the Poet X right now. I'm like, yes, it's so good. I cannot wait for you guys to read it. So I highly recommend this book. I love it so much and I want everyone to read this book because it's great. So that is it for today's video. Those are the books that I recommend for non-native English speakers. Shout out to someone, I don't know who, but someone left a comment in one of my old videos saying like, hey, can you recommend books that are like, you know, for people who's not really good with English but like we want to read books because we love books but we're scared of the language. I'm like, girl, I got you because that was me years ago and I want people to read these books and just appreciate literature and to not be scared of English. Over the years, once you practice, once you read a lot of books, that fear will be gone. Like, my fear of English is completely gone. I'm so in love with books and reading and it's been great. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos and I will see you guys later. Goodbye. Feels right.